Hey everybody, it's Zach here, and welcome to what is going to be the final episode of the Cow Barn to Machine Shop video series here. It's been, I think, 8 months since I put up a video, but the building that was once a really ratty pole barn, cow barn, is mostly done, or about as done as it's going to get. So let's kind of look around the shop here. So this building was an existing structure on the farm here when we bought it. It was not the best shape. All the posts were rotted off. There was very little concrete in here. There was just a little bit of concrete in that back corner that was all cracked and nasty. And so if you go back, Cow Barn to Machine Shop, there's a whole bunch of videos. I will put the link down below to that, where you can see kind of going through. We put new posts around it. We put a concrete floor in here. We did a whole lot of electric work, and basically the insulation and stuff is now finally at a point where it's as good as it's going to get, I think. So I wanted to show you guys around. All right, so the big table behind me here is a 4x8, just a heavy beater work table I built. It's got a piece of 3/4 inch, just plate steel for the top, 4x4 by quarter legs, just something that I needed that was real heavy duty that I could just beat the crap out of and not damage the aluminum surface on my wagon or like a fab table there. So typically, like, I'm doing just real big, nasty, heavy fab where I'm like MIGging, or I got to heat and beat on something. That's what I use this table for. I've got a fireball vise over here on it. I need to go ahead and drill some holes and bolt it down, but these fireball vices are just killer. I use this for fitting pipe, like smaller pipe off of, like, you can get the pipe jaws here where you can clamp vertically or horizontally. They're just a really nice tool to have in the shop here. I've got one of these exact pipe cut saws because it'll go up to, I believe, 12 inch, and it's what I'm using to cut this 8-inch sanitary tubing here. You can use a hydraulic bandsaw like the one over there, but it doesn't really cut it as square and as true as I'm really happy with. I mean, you could probably get away with using a bandsaw like that, but to me, it's not perfect. And so you can actually get just a perfect cut with something like this. It's an orbital saw. It clamps on there and just does a really nice job. And what other stuff do we have around here? Just some other miscellaneous stuff. I've got one of these rigid pipe drill presses that clamps on there, or clamps on your pipe. And I guess we'll do a video here of working on this 8-inch sanitary tubing and show you how that works. All right, so this next piece here just kind of floats around the shop. It's a knack Wagon. If you've never seen one of these, it's just a big knack box with drawers and stuff in it that I keep my fireball squares in it. It's got a 3/4 inch thick aluminum top that I put on there, and I usually leave my George Fisher saw. So this is a saw I use for like cutting sanitary tubing. I usually leave it on there. Like right now, it just has some miscellaneous junk. These are 8-inch sanitary ferrules that go with this piece of 8-inch sanitary tubing in here that I need to cut up. Actually, I really should be doing that and not making a video, but there's some valves here that are going on a project. Actually, they're going to be going on this tank over here in the corner that I'm working on. So like, this is just kind of more of the, miscellaneous, like in process, or I just need something to move around kind of bench here in the shop. All right, so this is one of those areas in the shop where I really wish I had more room. So I picked up this Peerless bandsaw last year. It's really a slick saw. It's a hydraulic machine, so the bandsaw head actually is hydraulically actuated. It's hydraulic tilt left and right. Really a cool saw, and I've got just enough room to have 20 foot between here and the door. But the thing is, like, it would be really nice if I had some extra room where I could have one of those roller lines where you could just put a bigger piece like an I-beam or something on that and roll it over the saw. It's really kind of a pain in the butt to use these like stanchion rollers here to just kind of put a heavy piece of material on and then like roll it over here. It's not the greatest, but I don't do a whole lot of real heavy work. Most of the work I'm doing is like a 2x2 or 3x3 tubing where you can just pick it up and carry it. So it's not too big a deal, but it's more pain in the butt than I'd really like to do. Okay, so this next thing I'm going to show you here seems like a ridiculous expense, but after having them here in the shop, it's totally worth it. So these are just these bolt bins, or I mean, you can use them for other stuff. I can walk over here, open the drawer up, and I have, 1/4-20, lock washers, bolts of various sizes. Everything is super organized. Same thing with, I got ring terminals here, Everything is organized. Like the top boxes here aren't labeled and stuff yet, but you got Wagon connectors, you know, just anything you need is here. And the really spendy part of it is when you start going to fill it up with stainless hardware. Because just the other day I spent, I think it was like $1,000 on just stainless nuts and bolts. And didn't even fill these guys up, but I tried to get the ones that I typically use. Quarter, 5/16, and 3/8. Those are the ones that I use most. And then I'll keep, you know, air fittings and just other stuff like that, you know, I used to have it in just little plastic bins in the other shop in an old Craftsman toolbox, and it was a mess, and you were always, you know, hunting and looking for stuff. And this just takes all the guesswork, all the, you know, oh crap, do I need to order more of these? Like, you can just walk over here, pull it out, open it up, and you know right then if you have it or if you need to order it. All right, so after doing the concrete, the next thing we did the electric in here. So I did a 200 amp service. I've got a 20 horsepower phase converter and a whole lot of 240 running around the shop here. And I've got a transformer that steps that up to 480. So I've got 480 for running bigger machines. And so after all that was done and stuck on the walls there and kind of was happy with where everything was, went ahead and put up some of the radiant barrier stuff. It's like that spacesuit looking stuff that's bubble wrap with aluminum foil on it. And then we put all this insulation up in here. I was able to get 200 sheets of used or like reclaimed from a demolished building closed cell foam, or 2.5 inch closed cell foam, put up 2 layers of that. So I believe that is about R50 like everywhere. So it's really well insulated in here. As you can see there, we left the trusses and just put the insulation straight up under the purlings. I really kind of wanted an open feel in here. Like, I really don't like short ceilings. Like, it just kind of seems like a cave. And when you spend a lot of time in a building, I just think it looks cool, and you know, it makes it feel bigger in here. You can see the trusses. You can see it's not just a new building that's slapped up there. We put in 4 of these, I believe they're 250 watt LED lights, or not 4 of them. There's 4 per truss, and then there's 4 trusses worth of them. So it's really nice and bright in here. Put 2 of these big fans that I got off Amazon, and it keeps the air stirred up in here. So even without the heat pump, I got a 24,000 BTU heat pump, or cold weather heat pump, to like heat and cool this place, and it seems to be keeping up pretty well. So it keeps the air stirred up in here, so even with the tall ceilings, it pushes the heat down where you are, so it stays pretty nice in here. Even on the times we've been below 0 here in Indiana, like, it will still stay about 50 degrees in here. So with costing very little, that heat pump only costs about $2 to $3 a day to run. It keeps the shop, you know, nice and pleasant and comfortable to work. So it's worked out really well. So this is a 7.5 horsepower air cleaner that I just picked up and brought in here. So there's some big filter bags that go in here that I have not had a chance to order yet. And then it takes these big 4-inch furnace filter kind of deals as a pre-filter. So this should be able to pull all the weld smoke and plasma cutter smoke out of the shop here. So this is 6,000 cubic feet a minute, so it should turn over the volume of air in the shop here about every 3.5 minutes. So right now it just sucks from the bottom here, and I haven't had a chance to get any duct work, but I'm just gonna run some duct work up and over, kind of above the fab table and then over in the front of the building there where I typically weld. All right, so I got 3 of these aluminum tables at a industrial surplus place not long after we got the concrete done in here. This one works pretty well as a desk, so my camera stuff usually kind of hangs out over here. And I got a chair, or if I need to sit down and draw stuff out, I've got a desk. So I do not have any employees helping me at the moment, so it is just me working out here. So I have everything laid out as thoughtfully and as efficiently as I can come up with. So I have this Firebolt fixture table that I bought earlier this year, kind of right here, centrally located over here. I have a knack box back here with all my Milwaukee power tools. I have all the fixtures for the fab table in there, just where I can walk over, open the cabinet, and I have everything right there. I have my Dynasty 400 back here. I have Miller-Matic 355 back there, you know, my Miller Multimatic 200 there. Then right behind over there, I have bolt bins with stainless steel and carbon steel bolts and lots of other, you know, miscellaneous hardware. Toolbox with a little bit of stuff in it right there. And then if you swing back around here, I've got my cold saw there and my big bandsaw there, which for cutting longer things, this table is going to be in the way, but I'm still kind of working with repositioning everything. But then over here, right by the table, I have my iron worker. I leave it set up with a punch where I can just go ahead and not have to drill any holes. I can just go ahead and punch holes in whatever I need. Shear whatever I need here, and then it's on wheels, so if I have to do larger work pieces, I can wheel it that way and go ahead and process, you know, angle iron or flat stock, whatever I need to do there. Then I have a dual bandsaw here, again, within, you know, almost arm's reach of the fab table here. So when you're fabricating something like this is going to be a pneumatically actuated filler for a tanker. When you're making little widgets like this, you know, if you have an idea, you can just walk immediately from the iron worker to the bandsaw to this big belt sander. This is a 10 horsepower belt sander that I got last year. So if you want to make a piece like this, where you've got some rounded edges on it, you can punch it, you can cut it off on the bandsaw, and then you can round the edges very quickly, just all within a matter of seconds, going from one machine to one machine to one machine. So I try to make it as efficient as possible. I figured we'd go through my power tool cabinet here. So this has all my grinders, this has all my air tools, it has some tooling for the fixture table here, and just kind of the catch-all stuff that I don't want laying around. So I've got just a couple grinders up here, a bunch of old DeWalt ones here from my rig welding days, some Metabos, Makitas, variable speed ones there, some really some of the big, you know, big Milwaukee ones, the rip your arm off ones. And this next shelf down here is just all Milwaukee M18 stuff. A lot of this I have lots of extras from when I used to keep like a job box at different facilities. So I had to have a grinder here, a grinder there, and a lot of that stuff has just all kind of come back and now hangs out here instead of being in, you know, different places. Air tools and stuff for finishing stainless steel. Dynabrade makes some really awesome air tools for just putting a nice surface finish on stainless steel. So I have a bunch of this stuff. Again, if you don't work with stainless steel, you won't have all this stuff, but yeah, these little band files are great. And then I keep some of these Ingersoll air grinders around, again, not really for grinding, but more like, you know, surface finishing, just to put a nice, pretty finish on various things. I'll keep porta bands in here, you know, like I got a rivet gun, and I really dig these new M12 porta bands. These things are nice and light, but I don't use that as much now that I bought that dual bandsaw. I really like that dual bandsaw for just cutting up stuff. So a few other things I've got in the shop here. I still have my Powermatic 20-inch planer left over from the Oak Street days, if you're a really old viewer. Cleaned this thing up. Still use it occasionally, but not all that often. I've sold a lot of the woodworking tools from there, just kind of an upgraded. I sold that Powermatic 8-inch joiner I had because I was able to purchase this from a local cabinet shop here. This is a 17-inch SCMI jointer. It's a straight knife machine, which I'll probably upgrade to a helical head at some point, but it was, you know, I got a really good deal on this jointer and it matches my table saw. All right, so this is the most ridiculous table saw you will probably ever see. So this is a 3-meter SCMI sliding table saw. So you can put a 10-foot piece or 5 by 10 foot piece of plywood on here and rip it lengthwise. This thing is a really cool, really monstrous saw that I really don't need. But I always wanted one of these back when I was in the Oak Street shop and never could afford one, and I just got really lucky and got one for super cheap. And I think at some point I'm probably going to go ahead and put together another shop that is just solely going to be a wood shop, more of a fun, you know, me kind of shop versus a money-making shop. So I think that joiner and my planer may go into a shipping container later this year, and I think I'm going to be looking for either a CNC mill like a Haas, or I may get a 5x10 plasma burn table. So we'll see what happens. All right, so this corner of the shop's a little crowded because we've got this tank in here, but I wanted to show you guys what I'm using for welders. So everything in here is pretty much a Miller. I've got a Miller Smart Feeder, I've got a Miller Field Pro down here, and then a Miller water cooler down there. So a lot of times, like, I'll do larger stainless steel weldments that all need to be TIGged. So like a water cooled torch is really nice because there's times where I'll have the XMT there set at 350 amps or so, and I'll be running for a full, day basically at 350 amps. So it's really nice to be able to have a water cooled torch versus using like a heavy hitters rig. Those are great, I love them, but they get really hot if you really push them hard for a long time. So water cooled setup is really nice. Then I've got the older Miller Field Pro over here. I like the newer model there where you can actually have a CV out setting. But the cool thing is these are all arc reach compatible, so this feeder will work off that. And then you can use the smaller feeders here or the bigger 12-inch feeders. And then you can remotely adjust your your voltage, excuse me, from the wire feeder when you're out working. So it works out really well. Just a really, really nice system. I'm super happy with how it works. All right, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is just kind of a quick walk around the shop here of, like a barn that was from, I believe this was built in the early 80s, kind of fell into disrepair there. New concrete, power, insulation, electric. We did some work on the tin and just tried to make it a usable shop space for not spending a whole lot of money. Everything here was pretty much done on a budget. One of my buddies did the concrete, we traded some work for. The insulation, this stuff I got for $12 a sheet, so it's used. So as you can see, there's a little bit of dirt and imperfections. Went around and just kind of sprayed or used like spray foam there, not spray foam, but expanding foam to kind of fill in all the gaps and stuff. So again, this is not the prettiest shop, but it's done on a budget and it works. It's very well insulated. I like that heat pump, keeps it really nice and pleasant out here. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on building a decent shop if you're willing to do the work yourself and if you're willing to look around for a deal. So anyway, I'm Zach. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please drop a comment below if there's other things you would like to see out here or go into further detail. So thank you all for watching.